But really the main point is the periosteo reaction aggressive or is it non-aggressive? Does it look scary? Does it not look scary? Things that look scary are going to make us worry, and based on how the rest of the tumor looks, we're going to start thinking of malignant processes. Or if it looks more benign or non-aggressive periosteo reaction, we're not going to worry about it as much, and we may consider more benign processes in our differential diagnosis. So that's really the main point. The only real point of periosteo reaction, when we look at it, is it helps us to think about what process is causing the periosteo reaction. Is this process a benign process or a more malignant process or an aggressive process or a non-aggressive process? So types of non-aggressive periosteo reaction are going to be classified really as solid, expansile, or septated. These are the kind of things we're going to see. This is an example of a solid periosteo reaction. We can see here in this coronal CT reformat, this kind of heaped up, solid looking, very smooth new bone along the periosteum, and it's surrounding this lytic lesion, which is based in the cortex right here. This was an osteoid osteoma, and this surrounding non-aggressive solid periosteo reaction around it. So basically the bone is responding to the, in this case, the osteoid osteoma in it, and has time to lay down new bone around it, and this solid bone is what we get. And so this is a typical non-aggressive pattern, a solid periosteo reaction. This is an example of really an expansile lesion. This was an aneurysmal bone cyst. And periosteo reaction can be expansile. In this case, it's very hard to actually see the cortex of the bone. It's just so expanded out. So this is another type of expanded lesion and expansile periosteal reaction around it. Septated, this is a similar appearing lesion. This one happens to be a giant cell tumor. We'll go back and look at this one. This is an aneurysmal bone cyst. I think it's very difficult to prospectively say which is which. Those are going to be the two main differential diagnoses here. But this one has septations in it, and so this kind of septated periosteal reaction, again, you're not even quite sure where the, this was the cortex that is expanded out here, and this one the periosteum involved within it. So this is another type of a benign or non-aggressive periosteal reaction you can see. Lots of different ways for classifying aggressive periosteal reaction. Again, not really so important that you get hung up on, oh, where is this sunburst or is this hair on end? But the takeaway point is that, hey, this looks scary, this is an aggressive periosteal reaction. I'm going to think about scary things that are going on in the underlying bone, and we're going to be worried about this. So sunburst periosteal reaction is one of them, and this is an example of a sunburst periosteal reaction. We see these kind of spiculas of bone, periosteum, which are radiating outward from the bone, kind of like a rays of a sun. And really this is the tumor underneath is growing quickly, and the bone doesn't have a lot of time to lay down proper new periosteum, so you're just getting these disorganized spicules of bone which are radiating outwards. And so this is a nice example of a sunburst periosteal reaction, really something scary. We don't really see a tumor here very well. You get the vague idea there's some sclerosis here. This was a periosteal osteosarcoma in this case that was causing it, this periosteal reaction. Laminated periosteal reaction is just bone, layers of bone, kind of like an onion skin, so that the periosteum is laid down one layer and hasn't quite had a chance to finish, and then another layer is laid down, and these kind of alternating layers of bone, one on top of each other, with these lucencies between them, like an onion skin or something laminated, multiple layers stuck on top of each other. So you'll see these in as an aggressive type of periosteal reaction. Here we see both sides of the humerus here. This laminated periosteal reaction is kind of heaped up bone, and there's this gap here, and then more periosteum is laid down on it. And so we're going to think about scary things in this case. In this case, this was lymphoma, which was causing this periosteal reaction. Hair on end. I think hair on end and sunburst periosteal reaction, they really kind of look alike. Hair on end, most people describe as it's just sticking straight up and not really kind of curving or radiating as much. I think that's a fine point. It doesn't really matter too much. Again, both are aggressive periosteal reactions, so don't waste too much time perseverating about is this sunburst or is this hair on end. Both really mean the same thing. Something aggressive, something fast-growing is there. So hair on end is really just because the bone just kind of sticking straight up, just like you've been electrocuting your hair, sticking straight up. Codman's triangle is some of the periosteal fibers that are lifted up and kind of displaced. So you get this displacement of the bone. You see there's periosteum right here is kind of forming like this triangle with the underlying cortex. Another example on the other side. Obviously, this is a complicated periosteal reaction. In this case, there's not only a Codman's triangle here and a Codman's triangle here, but you also get this sunburst periosteal reaction right here, and maybe some hair on end right here. Very complicated periosteal reaction. There's this soft tissue component of the mass and this geographic sclerotic lesion with a wide zone of transition in the distal femur. This looks scary. This was an osteosarcoma, and this